How you doing? All right, folks. With that being said, I'll tell you what, man. Watch this. This is what I'm going to do to Zander. Ready? Come on. See him? Look at me. Come on. Come on, Zander. Zander. Come on, Zander. Come on, Zander. You're coming back to Big Sills. Come on. Come on, kid. Come on, youngster. All right. Co-host of Birds 365, our dear friend, Big Z, Zander Krause.
What up, Big Sills?
Come on. Come on.
I see you, brother. I see you, brother. Boy, I got some questions, man, on this fucking offense, man. I got some questions on this. I'm diving into a lot of stuff today, Big Sills. And I'm not happy with Jalen Hurts. Don't get me wrong. I'm not giving Jalen Hurts any sort of pass like Angelo wanted to. But I got a question about Kellen Moore. What the fuck has he improved on this team? So I'm looking at some of these numbers, and I'll pull it up on the screen if you guys don't mind. I'll pull it up, and we can look at this stuff together. And I know people don't like some of these stats, and I get it. You don't like Pro Football Focus. I get it. That's fine. Let's just look here, though. I'm on Pro Football Focus.
Zander, it's a tool.
It's a tool, and it typically shows where a player. It's not always perfectly accurate, but here's Jalen Hurts on Pro Football Focus. Here's his year grades. Let me scroll down here. I got to drop the banner here so people can see the bottom. So look at the bottom, and you're seeing the season grades. I'll see if I can make it a little bigger for everybody. So look at Jalen Hurts' passing grade this year. This is it in 2023, an 83.9, which is a good grading on Pro Football on PFF. That's a good grade. 83.8 in 22. Now in 21, his first year starting, 69.2. This year it's a 66.5. It's going down. It's down below his first year starting. And then if you go to look at the Eagles and look at the Eagles and where their passing game ranks, rated by pass. Okay, here we go. Bengals, Ravens, Chargers, Commanders, and Vikings are your top 5. Kansas City's up there. Detroit's in the top 10. Green Bay's in all the teams you would think would be in the top 10. Eagles are down here at 25th overall with a 65.8. Now, the interesting thing about Pro Football Focus grading is they don't factor in how many attempts it is. They're factoring each play. They're grading the play, what the play was supposed to happen, and then the result of that play. Granted, you don't want to take this into account. That's fine. Now let's go look at last season. This is this season. We're 25th right now. Let's look at 23 when we acted like Brian Johnson was the worst coordinator in football. Eagles, 8th in the passing game, 83.3. Let's go look at 22, the Super Bowl year. MVP Jalen, right? Eagles, 5th, 80.7. Like, what is happening in the passing game? And if you're going to sit here and tell me that this is all Saquon Barkley related, I have a hard time believing that.
It's not.
It's not
because the Lions and the Ravens are doing the same thing.
I just don't understand. Like, it's one thing to say, all right, he's getting less attempts. Saquon's here. It's not. Why is every metric in the passing game? Forget yards per game, which they're 31st in, by the way. Why is every metric gone backwards?
Say it, Zander.
I think it's Kellen Moore.
Another coordinator?
Listen, no, because you're assuming I'm taking Jalen out of the blame. Jalen is some to blame, but I'm just looking at this data and saying, how can this be explainable?
Because the coordinator realized he can't perform what they're asking him to do in the passing game, and that's what they're doing to the strength of the offensive players in the huddle. They're going to the strength. Kellen Moore is actually doing what's right for the offense. You know what that is? He's feeding the guy who's carrying. You're 11-2. Won 9
why
in
was
a
Jalen
row.
Rated out so good then last year with Brian Johnson?
Wait a second. Is it Kellen Moore's responsibility to have Jalen Hurts, a top flight quarterback, or is it his responsibility to win the NFC? What is it? What's his responsibility? If the quarterback can't perform the first 20 plays in the game, and they see that, the coordinator's supposed to continue to do what Brian Johnson does and continue to feed the guy so that the guy has more opportunities and turnovers? Kellen went like this. Fuck that. We're going to throw less. We're going to run more RPOs, and we're going to feed the beast.
Yeah,
He's
listen,
doing
I
the
agree
right
with that.
thing
I mean,
because the quarterback is not good enough.
Listen, you're not wrong about that, but Jalen was the quarterback last year.
And he had a ton of turnovers.
And he was the quarterback in 22, though.
And guess what? We've never seen that guy since.
I'm not saying I agree with that. I know that we haven't seen that. But the drop-off in his numbers right now is not explainable outside of he's missing throws. And I get that. He is. I mean, we all watch the game with our own two eyes. We know what we see. Jalen Hurts has not been great. For all the Eagle honks out there who criticize anybody talking about the passing game, he hasn't been great. And I'm not trying to take it off his plate. In fact, I've already been getting comments. Oh, you're a Jalen hater now. That's the new thing. I was riding the guy all year. I've been supporting him all year, and now I'm a Jalen hater. But all I'm saying is, I don't think this is solely on Jalen Hurts. I don't think Saquon Barkley shows up and that makes your quarterback metric drop off a cliff.
You and me had a conversation at the beginning of the year, and I said, what makes you think Kellen Moore is going to come into this football team and all of a sudden craft some sort of game plan for Jalen Hurts, and he's going to go out there and be some prolific passer? Everyone was under the assumption that those two guys would work together. I was never sold on that because I had never seen Kellen Moore work with a quarterback like Hurts in his entire coaching career, and he had been fired 2 times in a row. I said this. The guy they needed to hire was Cliff Kingsbury, not this guy. This guy here, he went like this. He can't execute the simplest plays like Ray Cosell says. He cannot perform the easiest plays. Do you ever notice the number one play that he has is the slant to AJ? The rest of them are so difficult or he can't see him. Dude.
Well, okay, if that's true.
The coaching staff has figured out his limitations and his abilities of what he can and can't do, and this is what he is.
But are you insinuating that there's new deficiencies this year, or did the deficiencies exist last year and we had a better coordinator who knew how to put his quarterback in a better position to be a better player?
Yes.
And that's what I'm not saying Jalen doesn't deserve some blame. I get it.
Brian Johnson should have been retained. Brian Johnson should have been retained and given another opportunity 100%. To work with him for a second year and see how that thing worked out.
Yeah, listen, I think we're both in agreement. We're both just I'm just arguing that I think Kellen Moore has been
Shane Steichen had a year and a half to work with Hurts. Did he not? It's the longest tenured OC he's had.
Yeah.
And they had the most success. Okay?
Yes.
The rest of them have been so up and down. Dude, 1,000% Saquon Barkley has covered all the inequities of Hurts and the entire offense. They're not better, Zander.
Yeah.
They're not better.
I mean,
where are they better? I have been saying this for 2 months. Where in the world has Kellen Moore improved that offense?
He hasn't.
Okay.
He hasn't. Now, to be fair.
He hasn't improved the quarterback.
I think this is Jalen's worst year?
No. I'm going to
think his first year starting was worse?
I think this year is his most efficient year to what the offense is asking them to do. You have to be fair here, okay? They don't want to pass. That's why the numbers are low. They want to run, okay? They're 11-2.
Yeah, but even when they do pass, Sills, they suck. And I think some of that is on Kellen.
You can't dismiss 11-2.
I agree. I still feel like this team is a great chance, but there are cracks in the armor, and it's very clear that the team thinks that this isn't just media driven. This is the team obviously has some problems with the way things are going, and I think they're talking about that. I'm just trying to look a little deeper and say, okay, we watched this guy do what he did in 22. We were the 8th ranked offense. Like, where is it? Where is the issue here that Jalen Hurts has regressed back below his 2021 rating? I think that's pretty egregious. And I don't think, like, to be fair, yes, they're running a lot more because they know that that's their best way. Maybe that is true. I think that is true, to be fair. But when they are passing it, it's not working. It doesn't look good at all.
But Zander, since day one, I said he can't read defenses.
Well, maybe that's the
by the way, this 215 guy says that I didn't say that Kellen Moore was the wrong hire. I totally said that at the beginning of the year.
The Kellen Moore hire.
I never liked the Moore hire. And I said that this offense would be bumpy with Hurts because Kellen's going to ask him to spread the ball around more. Hey, whatever happened to the fucking motion they tried in the first 4 weeks? They scrapped that thing right away. You know why they scrapped it? Because it was confusing to them. And when
so let me ask you a question. I know this is your show. Sorry. I'm butting in here, aren't I?
Bro, you can ask me anything you want, man.
All right, so who do you give more credit for the 44, 45, and 19, whatever it is, the record, 45 and 19? You giving it to Nick or you giving it to Jalen?
Howie.
So you think both of those guys are winning in spite of?
Yes. I think they're connected. I think Howie Roseman has put together a heck of a roster. His draft choices have hit. He's too fucking amazing. Well, here, look at this. Did you see what Tomlin said today about Barkley? It's the number 1 acquisition of 2024 in the NFL. And also, get this. So you had put Becton in there. He signed 3 Pro Bowlers. He could easily say he signed 3 All-Pros. Micaiah Becton.
Well, you better shut your ass up then when you're criticizing Howie Roseman. I'm going to be on your case. You're giving this 44-19 record to Howie.
Hey, you have to, man. I mean.
You can't be. Roseman and Associates is now looking like the greatest CPA firm in the history of firms.
It's not, like Jeff Kerr says, attainable, though. Or sustainable, I mean. You know why? He's got 24 free agents at the end of this year that he's going to have to go back into the kitty again.
Look a little deeper. None of those free agents are scaring me that much.
Well, one of them is Zach Bond and Micaiah Becton and Milton Williams.
You got some guys you got to get. You got some guys who perform way above what you expected them to do.
And if this team continues to win, are going to be high market guys. Dude, every time that guy Bond steps on the field, he makes himself $2 million.
I know. It's amazing, man. It's amazing what he's doing. He's been incredible.
Let me throw this at you. Do you think Brandon Graham did this team a favor this year compared to last year by airing some of the issues? And I agree with Angelo. Everything you see now is all Bob Lang, cleanup duty. It's all lies. Don't believe anything you're hearing out of that organization. Brandon told you exactly what's going on. Do you really believe that in a way? Now, do I believe that stuff should ever be aired? No, I do not. However, it was by 3 guys, most notably by AJ and Brandon, not so much Hurts. All that being said, though, hey, isn't it better to get it out now instead of 2 weeks before Tampa in the playoffs?
I guess it is. By the way, AJ spoke today. I didn't see what he said yet, but AJ just spoke to the media, so I'm curious to hear what the hell he had to say about that. Huh?
It'll be cleanup.
He said A.J. Brown says his passing comment was misconstrued. People assumed he was talking about Hurts. He was just talking about the passing attack.
Well, Jesus criminy, dude. Who's the king of the passing attack?
I know, right?
It's Jalen Hurts. Who do you think's throwing? Oh, my God.
What was the question you asked me? I'm sorry. I got sidetracked because someone sent me that.
Do you think Brandon Graham, in a way, has helped get this stuff out front now before it gets out of hand like it did to 1-6 a year ago?
I think that would be more of a silver lining viewpoint where it is good. I think that he got it out in front, but I don't think it was overall. I don't think it was worth doing it the way to have that. Yeah, to have that reality or to have that.
Here's why I would give Brandon Graham the pass. Has Brandon Graham, in your opinion, been a big mouth guy to throw things out publicly about what goes on in the locker room? All supers go to the top. Please hit the like button, guys. I mean, he doesn't come off that way to me, that he's a guy that likes to kick shit up and dirt up and all that kind of stuff, that he was just speaking what was on his mind.
Yeah.
And to me, in a way, sometimes when leaders speak like that, what's on their mind, in a way, that's leadership because that's who they are.
Right. Yeah, look, we on our roundtable show, we had somebody come on yesterday, and he's like, "That was BG Beam." I think it was Steve with the money sign in his name. I think he's like, "That's BG Beam BG." And by the way, I'm completely in the Sileo camp of when somebody says something, and then they immediately issue an apology or a retraction. Listen to what they said first, because that's how they truly felt. Same with the Eagles. You go to the locker room. A.J. Brown, raw in the moment, not coached up by Bob Lang and the PR team.
Emotion.
Right. What's the issue? Passing. Like Brandon Graham, what's going on? I don't know. I don't know. AJ and Jalen got to figure that shit out. That's how he really felt. Quit buying the apology as it's bigger than what he actually said. What BG actually said is what we should be talking about. Not him coming back and saying, "Oh, I apologize. I didn't mean any of that." No, that's bullshit.
Absolutely.
They're putting the fire out, dude.
Yeah. They don't want it to go anywhere, but yet here we are on a Wednesday, and they've allowed it to carry on. So, yeah, I mean, all this, and then get this, they made Brandon Graham apologize. Now you got AJ Brown apologizing in a way. It's so stupid, man. It's absolutely ridiculous on how that organization doesn't want to be perceived this way.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, but ridiculous.
I don't know. Like I said, though, I think that question is interesting about what I asked you. Who do you give more credit to? Because if you're giving it to Jalen, all right, then Nick, then you can assume your coach is trash. But at the same time, if you believe that Jalen Hurts stinks, and I don't, by the way, I don't. I know you do. I don't believe that.
I think he's a good player. I just don't think he's good enough.
You don't think he's a good quarterback. I know what you think. You think he's a great athlete, great player, which is true. And he doesn't throw the ball well. I get what you think.
He doesn't do all the fundamental skills it takes.
So isn't that good on Nick, though?
You know what? He doesn't even have the skill set of Sam Darnold throwing the ball from the pocket.
Well,
by the way, I'm not telling you Sam Darnold's some sort of great superstar player.
He can certainly move the ball. I mean,
I'll tell you this: I just don't think.
Yeah, but if Hurts stinks, or if Hurts isn't a great quarterback, isn't that a credit to Nick Sirianni for going 44-19 with a quarterback that you don't think is anywhere near elite?
What's his job? He's not a coordinator.
I mean, he's a head coach, Sills. I mean, listen. I mean, look, I know we can speculate, oh, they took everything from him, but at the end of the day, he still is the head coach. I mean, I think he's the front man for the front office ultimately, but he still is the head coach. He's the one who talks to the team. He's the one who manages the team meetings. He's the one who gives a speech after the games, before the games. He's the guy. I mean, listen, if you're a player, and you know this, you're a player, you had coaches, certain players you want to play for. Like I was watching, by the way, the in-season Hard Knocks is phenomenal this year. It's not one team, it's the whole AFC North. Mike Tomlin is a legend. I mean, the way he coaches is exactly how I would want to be coached if I were a player. That's a team that shows up for their coach. Even the Browns. I'm not a huge fan of that Stefanski. Now he's a St. Joe's prep guy, so I like him for that reason. But that team is what, 3-9. They're playing hard for that guy.
Yep.
Like, I think that is a little bit of a reflection on the coach. And if these guys are all winning and showing up and doing everything, I think Nick does deserve a little bit of credit for that.
When you look at Nick Sirianni, do you see leader? Do you see Super Bowl head coach? I don't see leader. No, I don't. Okay.
I really don't.
When you look at Dan Campbell, what do you look at Dan Campbell? How do you look at him?
Yeah, I look at him as a leader. I do. I think he, maybe that's just my style, and not everybody's going to have my style, which is fine. But Nick strikes me more of a guy as he wants to make everybody happy, or he wants to make his guys, feel it. And that's why he's always talking like 2 weeks ago. Jalen should be in the MVP conversation too. The question was about Saquon Barkley. It's like, dude, that didn't come off as genuine. It more came off as you're trying to butter up your guy, which, listen, that's his style of coaching. That's fine. But I'd more rather have the guy that leads from the front and is willing to say things that you might not like for the betterment of the team, for the betterment of the player. But yeah, I don't view Nick in that.
You want to hear something crazy? When I look at Kyle Shanahan, do I see leader in Super Bowl? No. When I look at Sean McVay, I do. I like that kid in Green Bay a lot. Matt LaFleur, I like him. Do I see Super Bowl out of the Miami guy? No. Do I see leadership with Mike Vrabel? Yeah. I mean, guys like that. I mean, I just there's a certain way that guys carry themselves and they're honest with their people. And I don't know, man.
So it seems like you like more of the CEO coach, though, because it seems like more of the CEO coaches take on that
CEO coach that has say. Yeah.
Like, think about all the offensive play, but outside of Andy Reid, I think we can leave him aside, right? He's on his own pedestal, Andy Reid, right now with 3 Super Bowl rings.
But you know what Andy does as the CEO coach in a way? You know what Andy does? Andy puts people like Brett Veach, who was a special teams coach, personnel guy, in charge of his GM stuff, so he doesn't have to deal with that. He brings Steve Spagnuolo, that was on his Eagle staff from years ago. He puts him over there, and now he's got 4 Super Bowls as a coordinator. Andy surrounds himself with a great coaching staff. That's actually, too, and also a CEO, so that he could just do this, sit around designing plays, not worrying about bullshit. He's got complete comfort zone in the guys that he hires. And that's why when I look at Nick has no say in the people that are brought in, man. Those guys in the front office all make those hires. How can you have confidence in people? Zander, would you let somebody hire hosts for your network?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. No, it doesn't make sense. I get what you're saying. It's definitely a knock on Nick. Where he's
If you're a CEO, all of a sudden someone comes in and parachutes in and hires you for you, you're going to go, fuck that. I don't like that guy. And you're going to go, wait, did you put me in charge or where are you going here with this? Right. I mean, that to me, like if Nick had more autonomy, then I would probably say, by the way, all supers go to the top. Brian, we'll get to you, I promise. Please hit the like button too. Yeah, so I mean, here, let me ask you this question here. You think AJ Brown's a good teammate?
I don't think he's a bad teammate. I think he's a unbelievable football player, and I think he knows that. And I think that's a good mentality to have as a wide receiver. And I don't care if you're a little bit of a diva, because that's what wide receivers are. You want a good wide receiver? Listen, if you don't want a diva at wide receiver, then go grab some guys that are nobodies and elevate them like Brady did. That's it. If you don't want a diva wideout, then don't go and get one. Great receivers are divas naturally. They
know who he is.
And I think AJ Brown says, I think his thought process is less about the personal accolades. I really do. I really believe this. Maybe it is. Maybe he only cares about 12 catches. Maybe. I don't know. I think he believes that this team will go way further with him involved in the game than not involved in the game. And I think anybody who disagrees with that is crazy. You got a guy who is top 3 wideout, arguably 1 or 2. I think Jamar Chase has taken that throne this year, but AJ Brown's there with the best of them. Why would we not want that guy involved? You know, and Sig Lord, by the way, one of our great viewers, he did a good job compiling some stats about AJ Brown's targets. And, you know, going back to the PFF stats I showed you, things are bad in the passing game right now. Well, let me read what Sig Lord put out. It's good stuff by you, Sig Lord. So in 2019 to 2021, and he put a super chat, but he broke it up by year too. AJ averaged 6.8 targets a game. This year, he's averaging 6.6 targets a game. Now, in 2019, his rookie year in the league, 5.25. 2020, this is still with Tennessee. It went up to 7.57, and then it was 8 targets a game in 2021. He comes to the Eagles, 8.53 in 22, and 9.2 targets a game last year. This year, 6.6. His lowest targets since his rookie year. Meanwhile, this is a player that's ascending, getting better, and dominating the league when he gets the ball. Like, are we really? I mean, listen, maybe he shouldn't have said it, but
no.
Why wouldn't this guy? No,
wait. My opinion, I think he used himself as a shield to make the comment because he has equity on what you said, and he can go like this. I'm not talking. He's not really talking, and I don't mean to talk for him, but I don't really think he was talking about him. I think he was more talking about. You're not going to win a Super Bowl, Zander, if we're playing this style. And get this, if the players aren't happy, and yet everybody in here is happy, okay? The players aren't happy. I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing that the players aren't happy. They want more.
Yeah.
They want to win a Super Bowl, dude. I mean, hey, 11-2 is not enough for them. I see. People look at that and go, well, I'm actually on AJ's camp. I'm actually on his side with this. For the first time, I don't think he's done anything wrong here. I think this guy's actually gone out there and said, we're not going to win a Super Bowl playing like this.
I think that's what he believes.
He's 11-2. I think he really believes that. We're not going to win a Super Bowl like this.
You want to play his clip? There's a clip on Twitter I can pull up.
Please, I'd like to hear it.
Let's see it.
I mean, I think he really understands this right now, that you're not going to win a football game.
Look at
and
Bob
you're not
Lang.
going to win a Super Bowl.
Bob Lang standing right next to our boy.
Of course he is.
Of course he is right, man. Oh,
look at Bob Lang making sure everything is copacetic.
Yeah. That's
what an
Bob
absolute
Lang.
vulture.
All right, let me do this.
What a vulture.
See Bob over there?
I did.
being DJ, he's emotional. In that case, you should miss in general good. BG, everybody loves BG. Speaking from the heart, misperception.
This is so bullshit.
He's around you guys. If you see where there might be a misperception based off of I think that's for everybody. I think that's for the world. They perceived what I said about passing and felt like it was an attack on Jalen. And I think that's what he did. He didn't defend Jalen. Relationship was perfect. So,
I don't know what you want to make of that, but
it's dumb shit. I don't buy any of it. I think it's exactly what you saw in that picture. You saw the PR director sitting there coaching.
Wait, could you hear that? Did you hear that?
Yeah, it was faint though. Yeah.
Sorry, I thought it was louder. It was
a little
green on
faint.
my side.
I heard it, and it's total bullshit. It's just dumb.
My bad, everybody.
It's just absolute dumb. Let me ask you this one now. You think Jalen Hurts is a bad teammate?
Well, I think there's a little bit of a trend developing, right, with this. I would say no, blanket no. I don't think he's a bad teammate, but remember like what he did in the summer with the 2 times that he threw the coach under the bus and he created that talking point when they went away for a month. I don't know. I mean, I don't think he's a bad teammate. Maybe that comment will ring true again from who was that we had on our network who said he's got to learn to play with the contract. He was right here on this show. Boomer Esiason. Maybe that comment was more meaningful than anybody thought at the time.
I think he deflects a lot of stuff away from him.
I do think you see a little trend where he doesn't like accountability. Like, remember, people talk about that Seattle game last year, and if A.J. Brown never said something, it would have looked like Nick Sirianni was a dumbass because he's the one who fell on the sword. And then even this week, he said, yeah, it wasn't my best game, but then he said, I'm just doing what I'm being asked to do.
Zander, it comes off to me, though, that anytime there's failure or perceived failure or any kind of not living up to expectations, he gets very sensitive on that and deflects away from it and says, dude, how many quarterbacks do you ever hear say this? Hey, I just do what I'm told. I mean, dude, when you're the face of a franchise, that's not do what I'm told, guys. You have autonomy. You have a seat. You know, people don't realize this. If you have 5% in a company, you have a seat at the board of directors table. When you're making $50 million, Zander, right, you have a seat at the board of directors table, and you're going to be able to make the comments that you feel free because you know why? One, you don't have a no trade. You've got the contract. You're married to these guys for the next 3 years. You can speak up. I do what I'm told. That comes off like this. Well, they want to tailor the offense down. They want to take it away from me. They want to do this shit here and do this. I'm like this. Bro, that's not how you conduct yourself. How many times you hear Mahomes say this when they lose? Hey, this is all on me. I did this. I've got to be better. We've got to work together, and that comes from me, and it starts with me. And then when they win, you hear this. Those guys were great. I'm so happy to be playing with them. It's so wonderful. Coaching was awesome. Everything. You're like the last guy you mentioned is you. He never talks like that. He just doesn't talk like that. It just.
Yeah, I mean, he's got an interesting personality. He's got a different personality. I don't have an issue with it.
I get that. I get everybody.
Yeah, he's more subdued. I mean, he's more subdued guy, and he's stoic. Well, I think people like to use that word for him, and he speaks in like he's Shakespearean, which is funny. But yeah, I don't have an issue with the way he is as a teammate. At least from the outside, it doesn't look bad. I don't think anybody's reported on anything of. Joe Santoliquito did write a little bit of an article where, in the summer, remember, and he got a lot of shit for it. And that's the same thing that built the Carson Wentz story.
So did Britton Covey. Britton Covey got some shit too, and he said he was not really approachable.
That's what Joe wrote. Joe wrote about. A lot of people have said he changed up a little bit after he got the contract, less approachable in the locker room. I don't know. I don't know what's true. I don't know what's not. I think we should wait for that to all come. I wouldn't rule it out, though. Remember, everybody, ruled it out when it came to Carson Wentz, too. Joe Santoliquito got death threats for writing an article about Carson Wentz. Ultimately, 4 or 5 years later, he was completely 100% vindicated. And now it's a popular thing to bash Carson Wentz. Look at Darren Sproles was just on that podcast, on the 2510 podcast. I mean, it's a popular thing now. So let it all. I'm going to let it play out. But right now, I don't think Jalen's a bad teammate. I think he's just a little little uncanny in the way he handles things. It's a little different than what you're used to, but I have no issue with it.
Sunday's game against the Steelers.
Gonna be a good
Nick
one.
Sirianni. I think this is a big game for him. I'll tell you why. Perception-wise. Say you go in there and you flop around and you lose after all this shit that went out and all the stuff that came out this week, and all of a sudden they go out and they flop around like they did against Carolina and they lay an egg against the Steelers and that thing looks bad, or you play bad like you did against Carolina. Carolina's got the 3rd pick in the draft now, okay? That's a terrible roster. You can't do that against Pittsburgh. You just can't because they're too well coached. What kind of ramifications on Monday will you hear if they go in there and shit the bed against the Steelers? How important is this game just to settle everybody and their comments and their opinions on him that are starting to foster up again? Because, Zander, here we are again. You've got another crisis. All of a sudden, this is a smaller crisis. I'm not saying it's at the same level as 23, but you got players barking at 11-2. What the fuck are you arguing about? You're 11-2. You won 9 in a row, and yet get this, like Angelo said, you have a problem in your own locker room. What's the problem? You're winning at an amazing clip, biggest win streak in Eagle history. What are you moaning about? You flop around against Pittsburgh. How big is that game for Nick? In the perception.
I think it's as close to a must-win game that's not must-win as you can possibly get. Because if this thing, and here's another factor. If you're Mike Tomlin, all right, and by the way, I'm watching this Hard Knocks, though. They show Mike Tomlin. This dude prepares for everything. So if you think he's not looking at what's happening in Philly right now, you're sadly mistaken. He's watching that very closely. What are you doing to start the game? Like, what would be your approach with what you saw?
Oh, I would immediately try to take away A.J. Brown.
I would double A.J. Brown.
And
the first 4 drives.
I would make Jalen Hurts throw that football in that opening. And also this, I make sure that, and here's the thing. They've got Cam Hayward. This ain't the Rams, dude. You know, the Rams that said that or whatever team, the Ravens. This ain't the Ravens. You got Cam Hayward and T.J. Watt, and you got Highsmith now who's going to play in this game on Sunday. You've got a really good front 4, okay? They're legitimate. That's a legit defense, okay? There's no smoke and mirrors with Pittsburgh. Dude, they've won games with Mason Rudolph and with that defense. That's a real big-time defense. Hoss, let me tell you, man, they can make the game very interesting on that side of the ball. I don't really think too much of their offense. I think the run game's gotten a little better, and I think Russell Wilson has done a nice job with them. But, again, they're a defensive football team, and if Najee gets going, hey, I'll tell you this too. That run defense is starting to kick up a little bit, starting to go backwards a little. You need to tighten that thing up a little bit more. You need to start tightening it up a little bit because you're going to get Pittsburgh. They're going to run the ball. I think Pittsburgh probably runs the ball 30 times in this ball game.
Yeah, Najee. And I think, the Eagles, what are they prone to do? They love to overcorrect. They might come out and just start slinging that ball to A.J. Brown like they love to do. Huh? I know. I don't know. This is one of those weeks where you want to stick to your identity, I think.
Yeah.
Run the ball with Saquon. But listen, we'll see what they do. We'll see if they try and force the ball a little bit to A.J. Brown, get him going. I don't know if Pickens is out. I know they mentioned that he was questionable. It's a very low chance he plays with the hamstring. He's obviously a dominant player, but this should be a really fun game, man. This should be in the trenches, a little trench warfare. I love it.
Did you see, by the way, I'll let you out of here in a second. We'll do the super chats here in a sec. I'll do this. You see what Tomlin told Pickens? Hey, it's time for you to grow up, dude, and be mature. Let's go. Yeah. And I'm going.
They have a good relationship. They show a little bit of it on the Hard Knocks show.
Let's do the super, Zander.
And by the way, I'll say this. I know Russell Wilson takes a lot of shit. Russell Wilson and Mike Tomlin are a perfect match.
Yes.
They're a perfect match. Those two dudes are humming right now. And Mike Tomlin's style of coaching is exactly, I think it seems to me, what resonates with a guy like Russell Wilson. And they're playing really good right now. Let's keep rolling. We got to get super chats. Reminder, everybody, we got the night show tonight. We'll have Sal Palantonio on. We're getting a Steelers beat reporter on. Brooke, her name is. I can't blank on her last name, but it should be a good show tonight. So make sure you guys tune in at 6 p.m. Brian Pumper says, all is well, guys. AJ said he wasn't talking about Jalen when he mentioned passing. I guess it was the other passer's fault.
Yeah, hey, Brian, I guess it was Taylor McKee. I guess it was his problem. Or Flick it, pick it.
Yeah. Don't put Flickett in. I'm Flickett's number one hater.
Dio
says Pittsburgh does have a good run D. They got a good defense all around, man. That's a good squad over there, man. They got good players everywhere.
Yep.
Khaled says A.J. Brown is the greatest Eagles receiver ever. I think so.
Yes,
and people are talking about get rid of this guy. Oh, good night. He is not the problem in the passing game, guys.
I'm not getting. Get this. The guy's what'd you make of the Instagram with the Joker picture? What'd you make?
It's funny. It's AJ. It's funny. I mean, I don't have an element.
Me too. I'm like this.
Yeah, it's whatever. Josh Herman says players should call a meeting, get everything out in the open, have the fight, and let's move on. This team has real Super Bowl aspirations. Can't let this fester. I don't know if it's as big. I think it's on. I talked to John this morning about it on Birds 365, and I was like, "What's it like in the locker room? Like, is this something in the locker room?" He's like, "This is on-field play. This is not.
Yeah.
If they fix it on field, there's no issue. They need to fix it on field. Like I think John's point was there doesn't need to be like a meeting of everything in the open.
It's not personal,
right? Fix the passing game. That's it. That's all they got to do. Josh, appreciate that. Brian Fleming, appreciate it. He says giving Tomlin this drama ammo is dangerous. I see the Yinzers running quarters, doubling, jamming Smitty and AJ. Doubling and jamming Smitty and AJ at the line, stacking the box and taking away Saquon, letting TJ eat, then making Jalen find Calc and Jahan.
Hey, all I'm saying is I can't wait to watch his football game Sunday, man.
It's going to be a good one.
I can't wait for the battle, the state championship for Pennsylvania this weekend, baby.
What do we got? A 4:25 game?
Yeah.
4:25 Eastern?
Oh, yeah. Hey, Brady, you got Brady on the call, too.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
by the way, I don't think he's very good at it, but he'll get better.
Brady's on the call.
Schmidt Degler says everybody is scared to say it because Jalen's a black quarterback, and it's easy to get labeled the R word by saying he is incapable of reading a defense. Well, I don't view it like that at all, but I'm sure there is some sensitivity to that, Schmidt. I can't speak on that. I'm a white dude, but I don't look at it like that at all. I mean,
hey Schmidt, highest played players in the game. Black.
I mean, it's an 80% black league.
That stuff is like for like old farts and old hats. I mean,
listen, if you suck, you suck. Whether you're black, white, purple, or orange, I don't give a shit.
Defenses, you can't read defenses. If you're great at the RPO, you're great at the RPO. I mean, the black shit. As a matter of fact, though, Schmidt, I will tell you this. That's where you get a lot of the people that are defending. If you want to go to your thing. Some will defend because of your comment, and some won't defend because of your comment. So there are people like you that bring up race. And unfortunately, it has nothing to do with his inability to move the 31st ranked passing offense. It has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think to his point, I don't care. I mean, I know who I am, and Sileo doesn't. But there are people. To his point, there are people out there who are afraid to say something because they don't want to be labeled a race. Who the hell would want to be labeled that? I mean, and people do. They throw that word around, and
Tebow could read defenses too. That's right. Tebow could not read defenses.
Yeah, exactly, Fly. But I do think that Schmidt might have not here. I don't care. I mean, listen, I know who I am, but I do think some people might be afraid of saying shit, and they probably don't.
Yeah, but you know what, Zander? When people throw the R word around, they do it for a reason because they have nothing more intelligent to say.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair to say. Philly Bob says, Dan, is it made or is it mad or is it when Barkley gets a big run? Is it me or is it when Barkley gets a big run? Jalen can't let him show him up, and he makes a big run. I don't see that.
No, dude, you're 11-2. Okay. Yeah, you're 11-2. You won 9 in a row. I do think there's some ego going on here, though, that when it comes to jealousy and when it comes to passing around the wealth of fame here, AJ was the star of the team. Now he's got to share it with Barkley. Look, it's just human nature, Zander. When you're the star of a play, think about it. When you're the biggest Hollywood star, and all of a sudden somebody bursts on the scene and starts to take your star away, and you're starting to have more movies and you're starting to get more money. Jealousy, professional jealousy happens all the time in every profession. And it's going to happen in that huddle too.
Appreciate all the super chats, everybody. PI checks in. I think this is our last one. Then I got to run because I got that night show tonight. PI says, Hurts, last 4 games, 4+ seconds holding the ball, 22.2%, most in the NFL, 20+ yard completions, 2.2% worst, quick pressures, 3.7% least, throwaways, 9.2% the most, sacks, 8.3% third most, scrambles, 23.9% most per Fran Duffy. I did see that graph, by the way. And thanks to Philly Don who sent it to me.
Very good.
It was bad. It's the Philly Fran Duffy on PHLY put this graph and he did a whole breakdown of quarterback. Yeah, there's some
regression. Yeah,
there's some stats in here that are alarming on Jalen for sure.
All right, I'll tell you what, Zander. Let's see how Nick handles this. This is going to be a big Nick Sirianni week and a big Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown week. Watch A.J. go out there and go for 180 yards and Hurts throw for 350 in this game.
So maybe he'll shut the fuck up out there because he'll be over 1,000 yards.
You're hoping
840 yards, by the way. It's not like he's down at 350.
Hey, I appreciate it, Zander. Great stuff as always, my friend. Thank you.
Yo, Sills, I'm going to do some business on the air right now. Make sure you do our Bet US, all right?
I got
all right.
you, man.
Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you all, man. You guys are the best.
You guys are awesome. I appreciate you guys stepping in. Where are we on that like number right now? Please, guys, do me a favor. Give me a number on that likes. We are going to do in the final hour my top 10 teams, my top 10 quarterbacks, MVP race. We're going to do all that. Plus, we're going to go back over the Steelers. We are at 300. Man, I'd love to see if we can get to 400. Fantastic, guys. Way to go, man. Top of the hour, you guys got us to 300. Let's see if we can get to 400. 350, 400 would be awesome if we could do that in the final hour here. Hit the like button. As Zander said, our good friends at BetUS who have been powering the 4 hours here, make sure you guys check out the YouTube 150. That's right. 150 sign-up bonus all the way up to 2K. Your second and third give you that same opportunity when it comes to 2K and your signing bonus if you're into crypto. 200% right there for you all the way up to 2K and your sign-up bonus. BetUS.com.pa. That's BetUS.com.pa. Fastest payouts in the business. Live wagering on all major games. Plus, BetUS can give you your very own personalized account executive that can handle your account for you. BetUS.com.pa. That's BetUS.com.pa. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sil sent you.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.